welcome to At America TV, a place full of different activities, and one of them is celebration. Today, we will take you back to some of the epic times we've shared together here at America. Let's take a look, shall we? We celebrated the United States Independence Day with this performance of classic American patriotic songs by the Bandung Philharmonic Chamber Trio. Join us in remembering this day with Americans and how they celebrate the 4th of July.
Salamat malam. Hello, my name is Deidra Avendasora. As the At America Director and Acting Cultural Attaché at the U.S. Embassy in Jakarta, it is my pleasure to welcome you to tonight's event. Tonight's special guests are Robert Nordling, Artistic Director of Bandung Philharmonic and Fulbright alum, Michael Hall, Co-Artistic Director of Bandung Philharmonic, Stacy Garup, freelance composer, and moderator Irene Efren, founder of Bandung Philharmonic. A warm welcome to all of our guests and to everyone who is joining us online from your home, your work, or wherever you may be. This month, we celebrate the 245th anniversary of the independence of the United States of America. We hope you enjoy celebrating with us as the Bandung Philharmonic plays American patriotic songs and classical music from our two countries. And tonight, let's allow music to heal and unite us. Thank you again for joining us this evening. I hope you enjoy the performance and discussion.
Oops! That was from last year's 4th of July celebrations with Hamilton Musical. Sorry, but this year, you're with me, Irene Efren, my colleagues from the Bandung Philharmonic, Maestro Robert Nordling, Michael Hall, and composer Stacy Garup with a really fantastic program. We are going to begin with Krakatoa, a Viola Concerto that was premiered by the Bandung Philharmonic at the Hilton Bandung in January 2018. The Bandung Philharmonic is a professional symphony orchestra that I founded together with my colleagues. And since the founding of the orchestra in 2016, we've had numerous world premieres, live concerts, various programs, including the Tunas Bandung Philharmonic, which is a community outreach program to underprivileged communities. Every day, we provide them free orchestral music education because we believe that every child deserves to learn music. Without further ado, I would like to invite the video of Krakatoa. Bravo again, Michael, Robert, and Stacy.
It's great to watch again. It is. I haven't listened to that recording in so long. It was like hearing it absolutely brand new. It's fantastic.
I forgot how powerful the ending was.
Yeah, it has sort of powerful experiences and moments, very different kinds of power throughout it. There's these massive buildup of forces, those 4 big eruptions, but then there's the intimacy of the cadenza, and then of course that ending that just transports us to a whole different world, different way of thinking, a different way of being. It's a marvelous experience.
The circular bowing is something that Michael suggested. He actually brought up in a session that he did with my students at Roosevelt University when I used to teach there. And without that beautiful airy sound wouldn't exist in the piece. So I think one of the themes for me about talking about Krakatoa is collaboration. That so much of this is, us learning from each other and delving into the material and finding out what we can do together that we wouldn't be able to do by ourselves.
An important process of giving a birth. Each one of us is carrying a different part of this forward. The manifestation of the piece, and then the joint carrying it and giving it birth into the world, and the process that we all share in that is very exciting. And you're right, watching this for the first time in a long time, it's first of all, it feels like another century, a long time ago. But it also reminded me of just how much commitment that Irene Efren and the entire Bandung Philharmonic organization has towards bringing new music to Indonesia and the world.
I don't know how many of you know Edvard Munch's The Scream. You can hear on the right side. The atmosphere, if you look at it, people have traced the lineage of this to thinking that this is the ash from Krakatoa, from the year that he saw it and where his location was, and the color scheme that he saw in the sky and how that translated into anxiety for him. The first one is that the orchestra represents Krakatoa waking up. So we hear 2 things in them, and the first one is what we call Kolnenio Batuto. And Michael, what does that sound like? Thank you. And so when you get a whole section doing it, it's very percussive. And as part of this Dormant series, the orchestra is doing something that Michael introduced me to, which is the circular bowing. Michael, can you please demonstrate what that sounds like?
But circular bowing is a very different geometry. And as a result, it gets more than one note. You'll hear sliding and glistening, and also the sound of the bow just scraping against the string. So you get a composite sound. Instead of this, you get...
Thank you for demonstrating. And so you get a little taste of that earlier, and at the end of the piece, you hear all the upper strings are actually playing chords using this circular bowing. So that's when you get this very airy sound. And if you saw in the video, you see a lot of people's bows doing exactly what we just saw with Michael. It looks a little bizarre on stage, but it makes this beautiful effect. So basically, when we get to this third movement called Dormant, this is where I thought back to my own college days, and I was part of a Javanese gamelan for a while, and I learned all about the tuning systems of slendro and pelog, and played all the different gradations of the gongs. And what I wanted to put into this final section was basically a westernized version of the pelog scale. So I used that, as well as the cyclical nature of the way that gamelan is structured. And also the other thing I took from gamelan is that the biggest gongs go off the least often. So we have the largest gong only going off once per cycle at the end of the cycle. And the smaller gongs, depending on size, then happen more and more frequently. So those are the things that I put into that third movement. But you hear there is a good amount of energy that still builds up, and I feel like it's the volcano trying to come a little bit awake again. But then Michael plays another cadenza and eases it back into a nice slumber.
About the storytelling, I wanted to ask Michael, what is your favorite part about composing this concerto?
But it's the contrast. It's not one feature, it's the fact that there is a sequence that goes back and forth of the incredible high octane energy and then the absolute vulnerability and openness. And to be able to swing back and forth is quite a joy, because there are a lot of pieces that I play which will be either overtly sad throughout, or they'll be really strong, but they don't offer the breadth of emotional experiences. And quite honestly, it's a joy to play a piece that has all of that in it, because, well, first of all, it helps me physically, because the piece, if you noticed, is one continuous long journey. There are no breaks. So, when Stacy wrote this, I think one of the other things I asked, and the reason I said volcano, was please no slow, sad songs all the way throughout, right? Because energy, while the volcano is the orchestra, trying to chase me. And then the exhale of relief afterwards.
Well, I have to thank you for that too. I don't know, Michael, if you remember the earlier version of this, but you were playing just about nonstop. And we discovered that there were parts where that wasn't necessary. The orchestra was taking care of generating the energy for you. So I think even up to the day before the premiere, we actually pulled out a few more spots from your music. And then we were like, oh, this gives you such a nice chance to breathe and regroup. And it really saved the piece, I think, in some ways, for everybody's chops in the long run.
Sorry, if I may comment, talking about concerto, and I would also like to invite our conductor, the colors behind, Robert Nordling. Can you, just in case, there's people tuning in that don't know the difference between a concerto and this piece is very special. There's Michael, the violist, and there's an orchestra. Mm-hmm. What's the difference? And, how do you handle that difference of conducting two different types of works?
I'm going to make a comment and then answer your question. There's actually there's more that's the same than there is that's different. There's more the same between working with a piece with a solo and an ensemble, and then just working with, say, a symphony. Is your task is to understand the music through study and analysis, find out what's going on, what were the composer's intentions. That's the conductor's job, is to try and crawl into the head and heart of the composer. What were the composer's ideas musically? What were the composer's ideas emotionally, spiritually, narratively? This piece has a story. Is there a story this composer is touching and reaching out? Socially, politically, what were the composer's? That happens no matter what's going on. And then, of course, ultimately, the conductor's job is to get a group of people to work together to make a performance, to present the ideas of the composer as faithfully as possible. Now, that said, obviously there are going to be some differences, and you've heard a little bit with Michael and Stacey's comments about this collaborative part. The conductor also behaves as an accompanist here. If you think about concerts where you've seen like a singer and a pianist, where the pianist is very much active in making the music, but as an accompanist. In this sense, the conductor and the orchestra are accompanying. And that's a particular joy to do for me, is to help a soloist to shine.
Thanks for sharing that. So we're wrapping up the end of this discussion for all of you who are tuning in. And thank you, Michael and Robert and Stacy, for an eye-opening conversation, really in depth about music, about orchestra, about the piece Krakatoa composing. The next piece we're going to listen to is Hoedown. It's by another American composer, Aaron Copeland. And for the audience, you'll notice that it's slightly different, just slightly different from Krakatoa. excited to have you all listen to this. It's Andika Chandra on the flute, Condro Kasmoyo on the violin, Angelia Sandelilingan on the cello, and they will be performing Yankee Doodle, Old Man River, and the Star Spangled Banner.
During Hispanic Heritage Month this year, we had a cooking program with Chef Priscilla. Trained in the United States, she taught us how to create an appetizing menu that's as easy as unos dos tres for you to cook at home.
Kita sudah tahu bahwa malam ini kita akan berbicara mengenai makanan Meksiko yang saya yakin nggak pernah deh kayaknya orang jalan-jalan kemanapun terus nggak ketemu restoran Meksiko atau makanan Meksiko. Itu kayaknya udah sesuatu yang umum banget ditemuin. Tapi nggak mungkin saya ngobrol sendiri, jadi saya akan ajak teman saya, ya, dia adalah seorang chef, termasuk di top 5 Master Chef Indonesia pada tahun 2011 dan juga pemilik dari Warung Nice. Please welcome Chef Priscilla Princesa. Hai Priscilla, selamat malam.
Hi everyone, hi Mbak Ade, how are you?
All good. Nah, Priscilla, mungkin kalau misalnya ketika kamu di Amerika dulu, pengalaman kamu melihat Mexican foods itu seperti apa sih di sana?
It's almost like orang Indonesian makan sate kali ya, atau ordernya kayak when they don't know what to order food, like kayak ya udah deh kayaknya gue makannya burritos aja deh gitu, kayak ya udah deh, kan banyak juga kayak banyak yang to go juga kan makanan Mexican di sana, jadi kayak aduh, I don't know what to eat, you know. Do you wanna like grab lunch or something, kayak kayak I don't know what to eat gitu, kayak yaudah deh gitu. Kalau kayak kita kan, lu makan apa nggak sih? Nasi goreng kali ya gitu loh.
Karena gini, ada Mexican food yang Mexican banget, ada juga yang Tex-Mex.
Yes.
Boleh ceritain nggak perbedaannya?
Oke. Jadi kalau pas waktu aku di sana kan kita juga maksudnya berteman dan gaul, nggak mungkin kayak cuman just with the Indonesian atau with the Asian atau with the orang American sana, enggak kan. Jadi kayak kalau kita makan campur gitu kayak okay, let's go eat Mexican kali ya gitu, kayak okay, mau kemana makannya. Biasanya kita kayak ya Mexican, like Mexican. Kalau ada temen-temen aku yang kayak memang ada mau orang Puerto Rico, kayak pokoknya ada dia emang Mexican gitu ya, dia biasanya nggak akan mau kalau kayak makan makanan yang ada Tex-Mex-nya, nggak mau. Jadi Tex-Mex tuh it's a Texan Mexican gitu, jadi kayak Tex-Mex gitu, something like this. Jadi bawahnya itu dia biasanya kalau orang-orang pada ada yang memang ada yang di skip juga, ada yang nggak, tapi kayak kita bisa pilih mau pakai ini. Biasanya ada yang makan pork sih, biasanya pork, ada yang diganti lagi pakai beef, tapi di atasnya dikasih sunny side up, terus dikasih guacamole, udah gitu ada yang dikasih cheese juga. Jadi kan sebenarnya nggak pakai cheese, tapi kalau orang maksudnya Tex-Mex itu kayak fusion, jadinya lebih kayak ke American Mexican gitu jadinya. Jadi tuh.
Ini apa nih? Lebih ke sesuatu yang kamu temuin di restoran Tex-Mex juga kah? Atau true yang authentic Mexican?
Iya. Enchilada sebenarnya kalau yang ini lebih authentic Mexican ya.
Tortilla ini kan bisa jadi macam-macam. Apakah dia harusnya soft atau dia justru harusnya crispy, jadi hard shell gitu?
Nah, jadi perbedaannya gini, kalau si tortilla sendiri ini yang as what I know from my friend ya, yang memang maksudnya biasanya kalau aku datang ke tempat teman-temanku yang emang mamanya masih bikin tortilla ini sendiri di rumah, nggak yang beli udah jadi. Kalau tortilla yang memang authentic itu dia biasanya kan yang corn. Nah, kalau yang corn itu dia less fat deh kita omongin, jadi rasanya lebih
padat,
lebih crispy, lebih padat.
Ini adalah yang udah Tex-Mex nih ya?
Ya, karena as we can see, lihat atasnya itu dia udah dikasih shredded cheese. Itu cheese-nya American cheese and dikasih cheddar biasa. Karena kan sebenarnya yang aslinya banget itu biasanya isinya cuman dagingnya daging kayak mince gitu. Bisa pork, bisa beef. Biasanya cuma dikasih pico de gallo atau dikasih salsa doang, dikasih guacamole doang. That's it. Kalau ada yang suka pakai jeruk, memang di dressing pakai jeruk. Kalau ada yang suka juga boleh dikasih kayak sayur aja, dikasih watercress, kasih saus doang. That's it.
Boleh nggak sih minta saus atau kecap untuk makanan-makanan ini? Apakah dianggap tidak sopan atau seperti apa?
Kalau memangnya suka, kita bisa lebih minta kayak kita punya jalapeno nggak sih gitu, kita pengen lebih pedes nih gitu, kita minta jalapeno aja. Kalau enggak pun jalapenonya tuh kita bisa pinggirin gitu loh. Nah, guacamole ini kita bisa dijadiin cocolan, dijadiin dip untuk kalau kita makan nachos, kalau kita makan tacos itu juga dijadiin dip gitu.
Ini adalah pico de gallo.
Yeah.
Nah, perbedaannya sama salsa itu konon sedikit sekali, cuma di tekstur, benar nggak?
Iya, kalau pico de gallo ini dia lebih dicing-nya tuh lebih besar-besar. Kalau salsa tuh kan kayak lebih hancur, ya kasarnya di mash aja gitu, di mash kayak kita bikin mole gitu, di mash ini lebih hancur, dan biasanya koriander, cilantro-nya lebih banyak gitu dan dimasukin aja gitu. Jadi ada olive oil-nya juga. Nah, kalau si pico de gallo ini, it's more like bisa dijadiin topping.
Di sana sendiri sebenarnya nachos itu toppingnya apa sih? Apakah harus ground beef atau bisa macam-macam? Apa yang kamu bisa ceritain di sini?
Di sana nggak terlalu banyak pilihannya. Kayak misalnya modern nachos, tapi isinya mau macam-macam, nggak ada. Nachos is just like this. Biasanya ground pork malah.
Aku pengen tahu dulu deh, skirt steak itu sebenarnya apa sih?
Nah, ini kan kalau ini udah jadinya nih. Kalau asalnya tuh karena bentuknya dia tipis banget, jadi skirt itu ada dua, ada inside skirt, ada outside skirt. Tapi dua-duanya it's the same. Jadi dia nggak mungkin tebel, dagingnya nggak mungkin, karena itu bagian yang hampir yang mau membungkus si bagian sininya sapi gitu loh. Bentuknya itu dia akan panjang dan sangat tipis. Nggak mungkin lebih dari paling juga 2 cm, itu nggak nyampe 1 cm biasanya, bentuknya panjang. Nah, jadi jangan salah kalau kita mau bikin si skirt steak ini, karena dia bagiannya tuh kan panjang kayak gini ya. Nah, pas bagian panjang ini tuh kita potongnya bukan potong panjang gitu. Jadi pas kita potong karena panjang banget, kita bagi 2, kan kalau kita mau slice harus berlawanan dengan serat dagingnya kan. Karena serat dagingnya ke sini, jadi kita harus potongnya di tengah, make it half, udah make it half nanti jadi kayak gini, baru kita potong nih. Gitu.
Oke, itu supaya kalau dikunyah jadi lebih gampang.
Iya.
Karena Meksikan juga punya minuman non alkohol yang juga populer. Kalau kita di Indonesia ada es teh manis gitu ya. Ternyata di sana ada
Horchatas.
horchata. What is horchata sebenarnya?
Horchata itu sebenarnya susu tapi dibuat dari air beras.
Bikinnya susah nggak sih?
Bikinnya gampang banget kok. Jadi sebenarnya cuman kita rendam atau kita soak in grainnya ini, di soak in kurang lebih kayak 20 menit. Sebenarnya mestinya yang enak itu at least 12 jam. Di soak in, lalu kita blender, hampir mirip sama kalau kita mau buat what do you call it, almond milk atau soya milk gitu, hampir mirip.
Nah, ini biasanya dinikmatinya kapan sih? Karena kan di sini nggak populer nih.
Ya, di sana tuh dijadiin kayak minuman sehari-hari aja gitu. Kayak kalau di kita mungkin es teh manis kali ya.
Oke. By the way, kamu akan masak apa ya?
Oke, aku akan bikin skirt steak karena ini aku dapat resepinya dari one of my good friend di sana. Jadi kita waktu punya housemate gitu deh. Cuman yang di video nanti aku masak, aku bikinnya bukan instead of bikin salsa atau bikin pico de gallo, aku bikinnya chimichurri sauce aja.
Yuk kita nonton bareng.
Yes.
Hola everyone! Okay, right now I'm gonna making skirt steak with chimichurri sauce, and the second menu will be horchatas. One of my favorite menu. My friends, she's Mexican and she used to be my housemate, so she teach me and she gave me this recipe. Okay, just let's start cooking. This is already made. Saya udah buat caramelized onion. Jadi sebenarnya gampang banget, caramelized onion tinggal di saute aja. Dikasih sugar on top. Just put it like 1 sendok makan sugar, and then bikin caramelized onionnya. That's it. Leave it like that. Ini nanti buat jadinya. Okay, for the steak, I already put it here. So I have skirt steak. Jadi skirt steak ini adalah it's a part of the beef. Ini aku pakainya inside skirt. Beautiful marble. Ini tokusen inside skirt, bagian dari pinggir sapi. Jadi sebelahnya brisket. Ini kita mau marinate. Jadi gini, really simple. Olive oil. Kita mau kasih aja drizzle like this. Just use light olive oil, jangan yang extra virgin olive oil. And then I have smoked paprika. Okay. Salt and pepper. Salt. Kita kasih pelada black pepper. Karena kalau di steak black peppernya agak banyak itu wangi banget. Okay. Dan ini kita mau hayat supaya flavornya lebih masuk. Kita kasih hayat gini aja, sekitar 1 cm, just like this. Let's just put it back. Kita tunggu sampai grillnya ini panas. Kita bikin si chimichurri sauce-nya. What I need is 3 cloves of garlic, 3, 4 atau 5 cloves of garlic, it's fine, 3 aja. And saya punya parsley-nya 1 cup. Sebenarnya ada beberapa yang pakai daun mint, ada lagi yang pakai basil, boleh. Kita pakai olive oil, black pepper and salt to taste, and then lime. Kita pakai green lime. Okay, lime-nya. Some of you guys boleh pakai juga red wine vinegar. Okay. Oh, my grill panas. Oke, kita blend aja. Oke, let's see. More black pepper. Udah jadi saus chimichurri-nya. Kita taruh ada 3 pieces of meat. Nah. Oke. Sekarang tinggal kita resting dagingnya for at least 10 minutes. Nanti baru kita slice. Sambil siapin chimichurri sauce, taconya. Kita boleh ganti taco atau tortilla. Oke, now I have tortilla. Ya ini boleh kita taruh di sini aja. Tadi ini boleh di grill, di bekas grill seperti ini, atau boleh kita taruh di atas pan fry. Oke, tortillanya sudah selesai. Chimichurri di atasnya. Oke. Kita slice-nya harus berlawanan dengan serat dagingnya. It's really good. Oke, tinggal kita plating. Mau kasih salad. Just like that. Caramelized onion. We can add more chimichurri sauce. Nah ini sekarang tinggal kita kasih coriander. Okay, done. Ini skirt steak with chimichurri sauce and tortilla ala Chef Brazil. Will be a drink. This is one of my favorite drinks juga, horchatas. Jadi simple banget sih buatnya. Half cup of beras dan kita kasih air penuh. Dan sekarang kita mau blend dan kita kasih ingredients yang lain. Jadi ini at least sebenarnya nggak harus overnight, tapi mungkin at least 5 hours. Kita mau masukin di sini. Cups. Oke, kita mau blend aja. Sekarang now we're just gonna use it like half cup of susu. Oke, half cup. Now saya mau campur lagi pakai evaporated milk. Sedikit aja. Oke. Cinnamon powder. Oke. Oh, before the sugar, vanilla extract. You can just use it. Okay, no sugar. You 1 teaspoon of brown sugar, or you can just put granulated sugar. Ini udah. Kita mau blend lagi sebentar. Ice cube.
horchatas. Kita mau strain aja. Nice. Tinggal kasih cinnamon stick. Let's put it here. Done. Horchatas ala Chef Brazil. Okay, so 2 menu done. Ini skirt steak tortilla with chimichurri sauce. Ini horchatas. Now I'm gonna taste it. So good.
Well, Chef Priscilia, ini adalah sebuah kehormatan dan begitu menyenangkan ngobrol sama kamu. Kayak tadi udah nonton bareng, ngebahas makanan-makanan Mexican bareng. Yang kurang adalah
Nyobain.
kapan masak bareng dan kapan kita jalan bareng.
Iya.
Yes. Nah, akhir kata saya mau ucapkan terima kasih banyak buat teman-teman yang sudah bergabung, yang tadi juga sudah mengeluarkan pertanyaan-pertanyaan. Thank you so much Priscilia untuk obrolan yang menarik dan demo makanannya.
One of Ad America's most exciting events, at least in my opinion, we had a talk with a rocket designer about women's critical roles in space missions and their contributions to space science.
Hello, saya Sandy Lian, Kepala Bagian Lingkungan Sains Teknologi dan Kesehatan di Kedubes Amerika Serikat di Jakarta. Saya senang sekali bisa bertemu Anda semua pada malam ini. I am delighted to be able to join you today here at America to celebrate World Space Week with our theme today of Find Your Own Space, Women Astronauts and Space Scientists. Orang Indonesia pertama yang dipilih oleh NASA untuk berpartisipasi dalam misi Persawa Ulang-alik adalah seorang wanita. Astronaut Pratiwi Sudarmono was selected for a shuttle mission for the deployment of satellites in the 1980s. She would have been the first known Indonesian chosen by NASA to travel into space. As of March 21st, 65 women have flown in space, including cosmonauts, astronauts, payload specialists, and space station participants. And this is just the beginning. I would like to say hello and terima kasih to the acting head of LAPAN Research Organization, Professor Erna Sri Adiningsi, for her time to attend this event virtually and deliver opening remarks. LAPAN has been our strong partner in several areas of space-related cooperation. I am so excited to have Dr. Camille Wardrop Aline, NASA Deputy Manager for Commercial Low Earth Orbit Development Program, and STEM education advocate, founder of Bright Star Foundation, as our keynote speaker today. Dr. Aline will share her experience related to her career as a NASA scientist and her activities on STEM education. Her background and experiences are a true inspiration for all budding scientists. Thank you for joining us today, and I hope you enjoy the program.
Thank you, Nancy. Dear Ibu Lin from the U.S. Embassy Jakarta, the speaker services person today, Dr. Alien, participants, and of course the organizer of this talk show. We also appreciate that America Public Diplomacy venue hosting this virtual talk show with a theme or topic finding our own space. Women astronaut and space scientists, and also by presenting the U.S. space speaker, Dr. Elaine from NASA, which is now she is the NASA Deputy Minister for Commercial LEO Development Program. And I believe that through intensive communication and interactions, Indonesia and US can take benefit from mutual stronger cooperation in many areas of space activities. Last but not least, I do hope that this talk could come up with productive discussions for both countries in strengthening the space collaborations in the near future, as well as inspiring women in Indonesia to be the part of space science and space technology.
So let me introduce you to Dr. Aline. She's the Deputy Manager for Commercial Low Earth Orbit Development Program at NASA Johnson Space Center. And in this role, she serves the architect of building space economies and enabling commercialization of low Earth orbit. Tonight, Dr. Aline will be sharing her journey as a scientist, leader, and advocate. So I'm very honored to welcome Dr. Camille. The stage is yours.
It's such an honor and a pleasure to be here. I can't tell you how excited I am. And we've been planning this for a few weeks. Well, it's pretty early where I am. I'm in Houston, Texas. It's 7:20 and I went to bed at like 1:30 this morning. It's kind of start with a brief overview of women in space right now, but not only women in space, women who have contributed to space, right? And then I will talk a little bit about my journey, and I feel like my journey will give you such a breadth of some of the amazing programs that we have done and continue to do at NASA in the human exploration, space exploration area. So with that, I will start with women in space, present and past. And I start with past because, you know, as you said, there are not many women when we look at the 60 years of human space flight since the first human, which was a Russian, Yuri Gagarin, went into space. There haven't been a lot of women who've either been to space or have supported space endeavors. And so I wanted to start with my heroes, who we know as the Hidden Figures. And there's a movie, Hidden Figures. I hope everybody knows about it. If you don't know, find it and watch it. It is amazing. But it was really only in 2017 that the world discovered that there were these extraordinary women who contributed to the early human space flight. Without these women, John Glenn, who was the first person to orbit the Earth, the first American to orbit the Earth, that mission would not have been possible without these women. They were the ones, they were mathematicians who did all the calculations to make it possible for that mission and that flight to be accomplished. But because they were Black women, right, and during the time, the 1960s, and there was segregation in the United States, nobody knew about them. And they were kind of separated from the rest of NASA. They worked at NASA Langley Research Center in Virginia, one of the first NASA centers since we started the agency. But they were segregated from everyone else, all the other engineers. I always honor them: Dorothy Vaughan, Catherine Johnson, Mary Jackson, and Dr. Christine Darden. All three, the first three are no longer with us. Dr. Christine Darden is very much alive and well, and just has always been a role model for me. Since then, I've had the most incredible career you could imagine. I started my career at Kennedy as the flight systems test engineer working on the space shuttle. The space shuttle was then, I talked about the Challenger accident. So I started at Kennedy Space Center working on the space shuttles, testing the payload and cargo systems that were the labs that the astronauts started to do research in. This was like the beginning of doing space research, right? And the astronauts would travel to space for 7 to 14 days. They would orbit the Earth, and they would work in these mini labs in the cargo bay of the space station shuttle. And then years later, I was responsible for the beginning of what we had called the Constellation Program. This was in 2004, when our US government said, we're gonna go back to the moon. This was the first time, since we had the Apollo days, that they said we were going back to the moon. That program had since been canceled. And then I got to, my career, as I've moved around, I have moved up, right? And so I was invited to be asked to be the associate program scientist for the International Space Station. This was back in 2010, when we had just assembled the space station. It took almost 10 years to build this International Space Station, this partnership between the United States, Japan, Canada, Europe, and Russia. So I took a sabbatical from Johnson Space Center and went to NASA headquarters in Washington, D.C., where I served in a role as the Assistant Deputy Associate Administrator for Programs. That is a lot of words. And I was like, how do we open up space to other countries, other people who look like me, besides what we had seen, the few spacefaring nations, right? And the only way that can be done is through education. So I started my foundation, The Brightest Stars, to educate, empower, and inspire young women to be future leaders in science, technology, and engineering. And what that looks like now is mentoring girls and countless around the world. I am the mom of an amazing daughter, 23 years old, who is a future medical doctor. I am an explorer. I've traveled the world, been to many countries, not just empowering and inspiring young women, but also just really loving culture, loving people, getting to know other cultures and other people around the world. That is a passion of mine. If you want to contact me, there were many ways to do that. I'm all over social media.
Did you know that you wanted to lead from the start? Or did you find it out as you grow in your career? And the second is, how did you transition? Did you use that knowledge as an engineer? Or did you have to find a different knowledge and skills to be able to lead and be in that forefront of amazing programs?
Those are amazing questions, and thank you so much. I did not know that I wanted to be a leader. It's not something, I think for me, and I think I've heard other friends say this, you're just in your day-to-day, right? And you are there and you're doing your task, and you are, you're doing what the design part of it. The importance of mentors that saw something in me that said, I think you can do this harder task, and you are scared because oftentimes it's not something you have experience in or you have knowledge in, right? But you don't have to, right? What they knew about me is that I can solve problems and I can think critically about different things. And so those are the fundamental skills that you need to have in order to step into those roles. I decided that I wanted to stretch myself. And so when the call came to apply for the detailed assignments, I told my boss at the time I was going to apply for it. So that was on me. I wanted to stretch. So I applied for it. I'm not going to lie to you. It was hard, but I found people again who could help me, who could support me, who could mentor me, who could advocate for me. And that's one of the most important things.
What activities are carried out at the International Space
Station?
ISS, yes.
I'm actually doing another presentation tomorrow your time. I wish it's really focused on the International Space Station. But the International Space Station is a science laboratory in space. It is, I wouldn't say the only one, because China just launched their science space station, but it certainly was the first one. And what we do is we take advantage of the zero or microgravity environment. And so what we don't understand, or what we take for granted here on Earth, is that everything we know and understand, every biological system or process, every chemical system or process, every physical system or process to support the larger mission, but primarily engineers and scientists make those things happen, like the actual mission, the design. But we have a lot of other disciplines.
Is it possible for foreign nationals outside America to do an internship at NASA? And if
Yes.
so, what are the requirements? Okay.
So I'll start with the second one first. Yes, there are several programs. There's an international internship program that NASA has with several countries around the world. It has to be at the government level. So it's a government-to-government agreement, but it allows students in that particular country to spend 6 weeks at Ames Research Center in California, really working on, projects that the NASA scientists and engineers are working on. So that is one way. Then through Jet Propulsion Laboratory, which is our center of expertise that does all the Mars missions, the Mars rover missions, and they send all these probes to these other planets, right? Wow. They actually hire foreign nationals through their center. So that is another way of getting to work on NASA missions. So that's the second one first. The first question is about Artemis. And I'm going to spend some time tomorrow talking about that. But the Artemis program is NASA's mission to go back to the moon. Actually, it's 2025. It was 2024. It's now 2025, with international partners and commercial companies. And so it will be the first time we are sending an American to set foot on the lunar surface since the Apollo program. Mm-hmm. But we felt that going back to the moon is a stepping stone to going to Mars.
So do we have a target for like a year target for Mars?
So that's such an interesting question. We don't yet have a target for Mars because we are there are some problems we need to solve first. Mm-hmm. Now, if you talk to SpaceX and Elon Musk, he feels he can go to Mars next year, right? And he's actually developing a system, his Starship system, and y'all can look that up. There's so much on it. That one is going to be able to take our astronauts to the moon. So we've given him a contract to build this system to take our astronauts to the moon. But he's also building that system with the ultimate goal of developing a settlement on Mars. Like that has always been his goal when he started his rocket company, mm-hmm. is to be a multi-planetary species, right? So talk to Elon Musk and he will tell you we can do it next year or 2 years. Talk to NASA and we are a little more cautious. We're like, we want to be able to send humans to Mars and bring them back safely. that humans are gonna have on that trip to Mars is so great that it could incapacitate humans.
What were your preparations and qualifications to participate, especially as a woman?
Okay, so let me just say this. To even qualify even now for being an astronaut, you have to have a degree, a bachelor's and a master's degree in a science or engineering.
Mm-hmm.
That's basic. Or you have to have you be a military pilot,
mm-hmm.
right? Or you could be a doctor or something. So that's like the minimum requirements from a qualification perspective.
Any final words that you like to say to the audience and the young people listening in?
Well, first of all, thank you so much for having me. It was an absolute pleasure to be with you, to spend this time, to share my experiences. I mean, I know space is something that just inspires, is awe-inspiring to many, many, many millions, if not billions of humans around the world, right? And so to have the opportunity to be at the forefront, to be on the front line, to be a witness to making history, you know, it allows us to dream bigger than ourselves, right? And so what I leave with everyone listening is don't waste a day. Live every day like it's your last, like, you know, find those things that bring you joy and bring you that you are passionate about. And because in doing that, you are illuminating the world. And so with that, it's again, just an honor and a privilege to be with you. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you, Dr. Aline. Thank you for your generosity, your inspiration, being an inspiration for young people, and your wisdom. Thank you.
That's it, folks. We hope by remembering the good times here at America, it'll help you get through this pandemic. And we will be able to celebrate in person again, hopefully soon. We're having another Throwback at America tomorrow at 4 to 5 p.m. Repaint your 2021 with Bartega. Don't forget to check our website at www.adamerica.org.id and our social media to stay updated on our future celebrations. See you tomorrow!